This Christmas, I've been the loneliest and most unproductive I've ever been.
You said it again, sister!
Watching anime, writing a script, editing it was all a drag and I couldn't get myself to do it. I have quite bad seasonal depression, so this isn't a permanent problem, but nonetheless, Panda spent the holidays brooding. That is, until I purchased the one thing that makes me smile just thinking about it. A kotatsu. Permanent cold feet? Be gone. Back pain from too much chair sitting? Be gone. Blanketless existence?
Be gone!
Now fueled by my unusually broody existence, I ended up watching something I normally wouldn't. And I enjoyed it too. Let's talk a bit about Taishou Otome Otogibanashi. Roll intro. Stop me if you've heard this one before. A young, miserable guy living a sad, lonely existence is suddenly given an uber-cute girl who caters to his every whim. Shenanigans ensue. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm immediately reminded of a certain show which to this day has left a bad taste in my mouth.
Ah! Get it out of here!
So yeah, I wasn't exactly excited about watching Taisho Otome, but at the same time, I wasn't exactly pessimistic either. It was a good thing too, because much like a blue moon on Friday the 13th, Taisho Otome surprised me by actually being
Nice.
shocking, knowing me and my tastes. I know. Maybe it was the interesting setting, the more dramatic aspects of the story, or the fact that we got a woman writing it this time. Or it was all thanks to the sweet synergy between our two leads. You see what I did there, guys? That's my segue into the plot! If you only had one word to describe Shima Tamahiko, that word would be
pessimist.
Though, wouldn't you be if you grew up in a family that hated you so much that they essentially exiled you for not being perfect? Yep, Tamahiko might have lost his mother and the use of his right hand, but don't expect any sympathy from his father. To hide the shame his son has brought him, Tamahiko is sent off to the family's villa in Chiba and declared dead.
What a big happy family we got here.
His father isn't all bad though, because he gets his son a wife named Yuzuki by buying her from some poverty-stricken family. Okay, wow, that's a bit dark for a romantic comedy there. Now, if this sounds like the start of a very sketchy and icky relationship, you'd be glad to hear that it's not.
Major crisis averted.
And the reason for this is because neither party actually wants this. Tamahiko wants to mope around in solitude for the rest of his life and feels a little bit bad about the whole thing. Mostly irritated though. You're telling me a cute and cheerful girl is here to help me with everything?
めんどくせえ.
As for Yuzuki, I don't think I have to tell you that being bought by someone for an arranged marriage to a guy you've never met is fucking terrifying. And given her circumstances, she doesn't have a whole lot of room to complain about it either. But can they grow to actually love one another? Dun dun dun.
Hey! That was pretty good.
I'll be honest with you guys, I don't really have that much to say about this show. In fact, I can run through most of what I like about it in a few bullet points. The setting is a nice change from the typical modern-day high school romances we see all the time. That's it, that's the point. The animation is simple yet pleasant. It has an old-school feel to it that fits well with the time period. And the supporting characters, for the most part, are interesting and work well off of our two leads and are not pieces of cardboard. So why even bother talking about it? There are plenty of series out there that are the usual fantasy of average Joe or Jane is given a plank of wood whose sole purpose is to please them. And even though they have absolutely nothing in common or any reason to fall in love, they do anyway.
Yay.
If Taisho Otome were to follow that path, I doubt I would have stuck around past episode 2. So thank God it didn't fall victim to those tropes and I actually ended up liking Tamahiko and Yuzu. They're polar opposites in their upbringing, personalities, and views on life, but goddammit, they work great together. Their relationship doesn't start off that great for obvious reasons, but Tamahiko isn't rude or condescending to her.
風邪をひくといけない.
It's not much, but it's enough for Yuzu to trust him and want to get to know him. And over time, they begin to work together like an actual married couple. They support each other when they're struggling, and it feels believable that they do end up falling in love. It's also interesting that the show isn't a full-on fluff either. In fact, there's a decent amount of drama peppered in here. It's still a romantic comedy at its core, but there's enough substance here that fleshes out the characters and takes its subject and setting a bit more seriously. Don't expect a hard-hitting tragedy or a commentary on Japan's government or social norms, because wait, you were honestly expecting something like that? But it's something. Getting back to the whole buying a bride aspect for the millionth time, no one in this series is all that okay with it. Thank fuck. They might not be able to stop it, but they sure as hell let Tamahiko know that they're disgusted with it. But even if he did let her go, which he's not against by the way, would it help Yuzu in the long run? If her parents were desperate enough to sell her before, would they do it again? We don't really get a concrete answer, but probably yep. As for the norms, you can look at Tamahiko and Yuzu's time at the mall. The simple act of sharing the same spoon when eating creates a scene. But if this were set today, y'all would be a bunch of babies.
Get that weak shit out of here.
But given the era that it's set in, you can understand. It's small things like this that help Taishou Otome feel just a little bit more genuine to me.
Oh no!
Are there a few things that this show could have improved on? Of course. There are some aspects I noticed that, while not ruining the series, left me feeling like there was some missed potential here. I personally think the show doesn't do enough to deconstruct this genre. Not every show needs to be a deconstruction, we get enough attempts at that these days, though in this case I feel like it's warranted. Perhaps it would have gone against the more positive vibes the show was going for, but there was certainly room to discuss it. The other issue I have is actually due to Yuzuki. I don't mean to imply she's a bad character, but when you compare her to Tamahiko, there's a noticeable drop-off. That being that she doesn't get nearly the same level of development or growth that he gets to go through. Whether you can get on board with him or not, we understand why Tamahiko is the way he is. And as he becomes closer to Yuzuki, his life completely changes. He becomes more optimistic, he goes back to school, he finds a potential career, and he gets with the best girl. Yuzuki's situation has improved too, but I don't feel we got enough of an insight into her character, or if she was even getting enough out of their relationship. What was it like being suddenly taken away from your old life? Did she have any ambitions before, or can she pursue them now? At what point does she realize that she could actually fall in love with Tamahiko rather than just be an obedient bride? These are all important questions, and yet they don't really figure into the plot or her character that much. And why don't they? After all, most of the supporting cast do get some level of development, so why not one of the actual protagonists? By all definitions, she's a saint, and frankly she deserves more than what she's given here. I have my nitpicks, yes, but the simple fact that they created a relationship that doesn't feel exploitive or make me want to take a long, cold shower is an accomplishment. So yeah, I guess that's it. Taishou Otome might not be a masterpiece, but I'd say the show is worth a shot. Like the title says, it's a short, sweet fairy tale that scratched my itch for a wholesome romance in a season that seemed to lack it. And it might even scratch yours too. And hey, this season there's finally more than about 3 things that I'm actually looking forward to. There's action, romance, yaoi, and hopefully many more that I haven't even heard of. Will there be videos covering any of them though?
Well, you better hold us accountable for that, because in my heart, I know we won't.
See you all next time!